call to order this meeting of the Greenfield Conservation Commission at 6:31 p.m. November 14th, 2023. Commissioners present are Kristen, Erica, and Travis. Fletcher noted that he may be 10 minutes late, so we'll just have to note in the minutes when he arrives. This meeting is being held virtually, and if any technical interruption occurs and the meeting suddenly ends, we will not be resuming the meeting, and all items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting date. And as you may have heard, this meeting is being recorded, and if anyone else is recording the meeting, you're required to let me know. None, I'll assume no one else is recording. So, first on our agenda, approval of meeting minutes, October 24th, 2023. Erica, I think you might be making a motion, but you're muted. Erica's audio doesn't work and Kristen's video doesn't work.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting.
All right, I'll second that. I guess, Erica, you can raise your hand to vote if you don't get your audio working.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
I don't know. I don't know. My video kept going off. I don't know. Maybe Kristen like jinxed mine.
Yeah, there's a virus going around. All right, so we had a motion to approve the minutes. Did anyone have any other comments or edits to make to the minutes? I thought it all looked good. All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote on approving the minutes. Erica?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
And I'm also an aye. So the minutes from October 24th are approved. On our schedule of public meetings and hearings, we only have one on the list tonight, which is the public hearing notice of intent bank stabilization at the Green River swimming area, map 27, lot 18, DEP file number 168356, which was continued from October 24th, 2023. Mitch, am I correct in assuming that they've asked to continue it again?
That's correct. Should be next time, they said.
Okay. All right.
Also, I don't know that we can continue it right now because there's just two of us that can vote.
All right.
Well, yeah, I've been meaning to look into what happens if only two people can vote on something. Like if Fletcher left and then there was the three of us left and Kristen has recused herself, how does a project get approved at that point, you know? But anyway, well, I guess,
We just put it at the end of the meeting.
yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know if, yeah, I guess Kristen can't vote to continue on that anyway. All right, so if there are no objections, we'll move that to the end of the meeting and we'll go through other business first. All right, hearing no objections, we'll move ahead. Other business and enforcement updates, we have an emergency certification, ratification, embankment and outfall repair at 47 Cheapside Street. And Mitch, do you want to walk us through that and show the pictures?
So this is a Mass DOT project. Oh, there's Fletcher.
Oh, yeah.
Erosion creating a washout on 47 Cheapside Street, jeopardizing the integrity of the guardrail and the sidewalk. So they requested to repair the culvert, extend it, use riprap to reduce the erosion, and they had to take out a maple tree.
Hmm.
But yeah, I looked at similar emergency search that we did recently and didn't feel like any conditions were needed.
Hmm.
They just did kind of a similar one. So I just needs ratification.
And Fletcher, you came in right as we were starting that, so
Travis, can you all hear me?
yep. Can you hear me?
All right, I can't hear anything, so just a minute.
Okay. The problems continue.
I think we had a power outage last night.
Let's see. Let's see if Fletcher can connect to his audio here. I'm the only one who didn't have any issues, technically, tonight so far. Oh yeah, I guess you can see the culvert, like just the very edge of it down there. It looks like. Yeah, right there.
So what do they want to do? They just want to clean out the culvert or
Extend it. Repair the culvert, extend the existing 18-inch culvert
Repair
pipe,
culvert
and
outfall.
terminate the flared end. Riprap will be used. Use that geotextile fabric.
this is a DPW project?
DOT.
Okay. It probably meets exemptions, but it looks like it might be in priority and estimated habitat.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't, have we had a like an emergency certification that was in priority and estimated habitat? Like,
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll make sure that they ran it by them.
I'm not sure what the process would be for like an emergency fix.
Right, because now we can wait for them because we have to respond in 24 hours.
Yeah. Cheeks. Does anyone have any thing to discuss on this, or should we vote to ratify it?
So I think I missed the first part, but there's priority habitat around this project?
It looks like it.
Yeah, I think we probably take a vote and then send that information along, or I'm still unclear if like we don't ratify something, what
What happens?
difference that makes, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure because it's like approval is given and then it gets ratified. So something for someone to research, I guess. What happens in that situation?
I would make a motion, but I don't know if people are still researching.
No, I'm just clicking away. I'm fine.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to ratify the 47 Sheepside Street emergency certification to repair the embankment.
Second.
All right, a motion to ratify by Fletcher, seconded by Erica. Any other discussion before voting on that?
Did the group already discuss sending along the priority habitat and any other details with the response, or?
Yeah, Mitch said he was going to contact them to make sure they had contacted the right people for that.
Sounds good.
So this motion is pending approval from Natural Heritage, DEP, or just, how do we word this?
Um,
Has the work already been done? Or do we know?
yeah, I was gonna say it's possible it's already been done.
They've already started. I don't know if they're done yet.
What was the date the emergency certification approval was given? I'm just curious how long ago it was.
Yeah, like a couple weeks ago.
It must have been like right after our meeting. Our last meeting. Oh, I guess we had 3 weeks before our last meeting. So
And I wouldn't want to hold up a, unsafe road repair just for most reasons, but I guess that's where the question of like, if we withhold ratification, do we have more sort of input into any details, post-construction details or anything? Because if not, I suppose it'd be the same as just ratifying and sending along our recommendations.
mhm.
I'm trying to look at the implications right now.
Fletcher, you want us to wait until you're done looking that up?
Not necessarily, no. I just
Okay. Yeah, I think I mean I think if I was trying to remember if Kristen, you mentioned DOT exemptions, if and how that might be exempt anyway, but I think for the emergency approvals, I don't know that we've ever dealt with priority habitat stuff. So
Was there
I don't know.
anything in the DOT's notice that kind of cited their exemptions or the emergency request citations to like the regulations that would kind of take the burden off of us to research it?
No, I don't see that.
Ten point oh six subsection 8.
I was just thinking it's nice that we have so little on the agenda that we can like this is like
I
the one
know,
this is like the one thing we have on the agenda.
we're so bad at like preparing for these meetings. We're all so busy.
Well, I didn't think to look for the priority habitat, so I thought it was pretty straightforward.
so far the only thing I've had a chance to read is emergencies do not need to go through the same review procedures as ordinary activities, but they are not exempt from regulation.
Mm. It's
Continue
just
to-
kind of like a shortcut to approval.
Mhm. So it looks like it says often a notice of intent will be required for undertaking long-term solution to the underlying problem. So I don't know if like their abatement here is temporary and then they'll be doing a more extensive project to stabilize the road permanently, but I guess that's when we could actually be the permitting authority there.
And they're
Mm.
not replacing the culvert, they're just doing the flared end.
Yeah, it sounded like they were just extending it with a flared end and then adding some riprap so it wouldn't keep eroding as it was.
Did someone else log into Mac handbook by any chance?
Yeah, did you get kicked out?
Yeah, that's fine. I finished reading the page I was looking at, but I was just gonna
All right.
look at some of the other ones. So I already read the 18
Yeah.
point whatever, but 19 had some info.
Okay. Hmm.
We can leave notes. I didn't even realize that.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
So 10.06 subsection 8, in the event of a destructive weather event requiring widespread recovery efforts, debris cleanup, or roadway or utility repair, commissioners may issue a severe weather emergency declaration that allows emergency related work necessary for the protection of the health or safety of residents of the Commonwealth to occur without filing for a notice of intent or a request for an emergency certification or authorization pursuant to 310 CMR 10.06 subsection 1 through 7. The severe weather emergency declarations shall describe, and I'm not sure if their
Hmm.
declaration did describe anything, but A, the types of work allowed without filing an NOI, B, general mitigation measures to condition the work that may be required in performing such work, C, any notification or reporting requirements, D, the geographic area of the declaration's effect, and E, the period of time the declaration shall be in effect, which shall not be longer than 90 days unless extended by the commissioner. And then there's another paragraph, but I think that what I'm kind of honing in on is was there an event of a destructive weather event requiring widespread recovery efforts?
I mean, there was that storm back in like July or whatever, but um, I think that would be more for like if we had, 15 emergency certifications all at once because there was all this, widespread destruction. I don't know if that would, this seems more just like oh, we noticed that this is, all eroded out. And I mean, it didn't sound like they tied it to any specific weather event. So,
Exactly what I'm kind of thinking, that we've had a number of severe weather events this summer, and I know that Western Mass had several emergency certs in, I forget if it was July or August, but I want to say July because that's when we had like 14 inches of rain. But I don't remember any severe events recently.
no, I don't think so. I mean, this
Okay.
could have been from then and they
Right.
just didn't
Yeah.
notice until now, but
Mm.
I mean, I don't think it makes sense to do a severe storm event thing just for this one project, though.
I mean, maybe it's a cumulative effect, but I don't see that in their cover letter, so I'm confused.
Yeah,
Cover
I think
letter
they
is
just
3 sentences.
I think they just filed it as just a regular emergency certification, which we get sometimes. I went out for one that the state or the city DPW, there was a guardrail that had been like washed out halfway, and so I don't know. I think it's just similar, a similar thing where something gets noticed and it's like, oh, we better fix this quick, otherwise, it could get a lot worse. So I don't know
I
if
think
we answered the question exactly, but
no,
I
not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so far we can sort of include our research about priority habitats and whatever else in this, and maybe also let them know that further work would require a notice of intent after the thing is stabilized. But I just don't really see what else. I guess we could not ratify it and include that same information. But personally, if given that it's just for this, like from reading the emergency cert, it's just to stabilize this one section that was an emergency. I would ratify that. But like, if there's a larger project ensuing after that, maybe maybe not. But either way, I think we could recommend a notice of intent if there's going to be further work.
Mhm. Which I think is just I don't know if that language is on there for the like emergency certification form, but yeah.
Mitch, do you have that handy, the certification form?
Yes,
Oh, it does.
kind of what you were
It,
saying, right?
yeah, and number 3 is also what we're talking about with the priority habitat. The emergency certification does not relieve the applicant of any other person of the necessity of complying with all other applicable federal, state, or local statutes, ordinances, bylaws, or regulations. So,
So
I
that
guess
would also relate to current Massachusetts stream crossing standards. I mean, if they're going to be doing something in kind under an emergency ratification, how does that apply to the mass stream crossing standards?
I guess I didn't think this was a stream. I thought it was like an outfall from like
Oh,
from the road.
okay. Gotcha.
Because this is right. I don't even think there's a stream there, but I looked it up on the map. Got too many tabs open now.
I guess we could also put in our correspondence that that 30-day stipulation at the bottom of the form there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it doesn't look like there's a stream there.
Yeah, I think it's just an outfall.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm.
Well, that makes me feel a whole lot better.
Yeah. A lot of lower stakes there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to beef up where the water flows out, just to keep it from eroding. All right, so uh it sounds like we're leaning towards ratifying it with, letting them know to make sure, letting them know that it seems to be in priority estimated habitat and that no work can be done beyond those 30 days in the limited project. Any other discussion before we vote? All right, I'll do a roll call vote here on ratifying with those stipulations there. Erica,
Aye.
Fletcher,
Aye.
Kristen.
Aye.
All right, and I am also an I. So that emergency certification is ratified. And Mitch, I guess you can follow up with them, let them know what we just discussed.
Mitch, would you mind emailing Mark Stinson and just asking the questions that we had tonight, like that we've had in the past about ratification and what that actually means versus not ratifying? And
Yeah,
So
no, it'd be
if-
good
if
to
we-
get clarification
awesome. Okay, because I feel like he's definitely going to know.
That's such a
And I-
good idea.
And I looked at like the links from the handbook and just the Mass DEP site, and it talks about the emergency certs, but it never mentions ratification or conservation commission. So I don't know
Right,
where
it
that
just says-
information is exactly.
It just says the commission ratifies it. Or if they don't,
No, I feel like I've read somewhere, like um the process like spelled out, but I don't know. We can find it somewhere.
Mitch, can you share the results of your conversation with Mark if it's different than kind of what we think?
Yeah, let everyone know what he says.
That could be it. That could be on our agenda for our next meeting. Learn about emergency certifications. All right. So then next, well, I guess we'll just go in order now. Okay, so next on the agenda is conservation area boundary markings. And I know Mitch shared, do you want to share that document you put together? Find it.
Yeah, and Fletcher help me find some of these, just some sign providers we could use,
Mhm.
but figured we could compare quotes and think what we want on the sign, how many we want.
You know where it says pricing, are those like 4 inches by 4 inches? Is that what that means?
I
A
think
four
so,
by
yeah.
4?
Is this for a specific conservation area or like all Greenfield held conservation areas?
I guess it's something
Well-
else we can, what were you thinking, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be easier just to have a bunch of signs that just say like Greenfield Conservation Area instead of
Yeah.
a specific one.
Seems like a lot of these we have to buy them in bulk anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah. We definitely wouldn't need like 300 for each property.
Okay.
We could just have a big old stack of them and, go out and mark. Oh yeah, and apparently that's what our current design is.
So I have
Right,
this
I've
like
seen that.
nailed to my bulletin board. I just don't know where it came from.
Nice.
Do we not like that? Are we looking to change it? I think it looks good.
Well, one
Yeah.
thing we should change is city, it should say city of
City of,
Greenfield.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good,
Yeah, we
that's a
changed
good
that, but I
point.
don't have like
I-
this graphic.
I mean, I
in
like
there.
that it says that, but I don't know. Sometimes in some of the properties, it seems like we sort of need to tell them what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do because they don't seem to
Yeah.
intuitively know that.
Well, that's like
Um,
Oh yeah, so there is that sign there that, oh yeah, Mitch, go up a little. That like yellow sign that
Yeah.
says like protected natural area, prohibited activities. You
I mean,
know,
I know a lot of times people don't read stuff, but at least it would kind of cover us saying, yeah, we did tell you what you could and couldn't do.
That's a good
yeah,
point, because a lot of conservation restrictions, they do allow hunting or they don't allow hunting. They do allow equestrian use or they don't. They do allow bicycles or they don't. Does that need to be on every little sign that's posted on the boundary, or does that need to be on like a kiosk at the entrance and slash parking area? Can
yeah. I
we,
mean,
sorry, go
Hmm,
ahead, Travis.
that might be.
I was just saying, I was just agreeing, like, yeah, that's something we need to figure out, I guess, because I mean, a lot of the conservation areas, there is no parking area or entrance or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I I would think that like for the diamonds, the bulk boundary markers, that we should just make sure it includes the word boundary and not put a bunch of stuff on it, because we want people to be able to see it or read
yeah,
it rather from like a
Right.
distance. And we could potentially, like, if we felt like the kiosk wasn't enough, we could have another um rectangular sign that could go, you know, every or in specific areas along the boundary or whatever that did say that. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like the simpler the better for the actual boundary markers, because I mean, I've been walking along boundaries and seen an organization or something and just can't read it. So I'm just,
Hmm.
if I'm interested, I'll walk over and read it. But like when there's too much text, you risk kind of not getting your message across, I think.
mm,
And that might be good for, we were talking about just keeping them all the same. And that way, if you went from, different area to different area, you always know that symbol right there is the boundary, simple
mhm.
and to the point.
Nice white pine. We have plenty of those.
Yeah, and we might actually want to move some in Griswold because I remember when we went there with Lincoln, we saw some of these signs, but they were like along the trail, and he
Yeah, I
said
saw those.
he told the Conservation Commission not to put them there, but that's where they wanted them, so people would see them instead of like actually at the boundary.
Mm.
So that doesn't, because I was like, are we outside of the conservation area right now? Because it says boundary right there. So
Well, I mean, I suppose we could have some that say, maybe one color that says boundary and one color just says just conservation area so that, you know, I don't know.
I don't
I don't know
know.
if that's overkill.
Yeah. I mean, I would say let's start with the boundary and then see
And
how that
but put them
goes.
on the actual boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
or close to it at least.
Yeah.
Are some of the, so I know not all of our conservation lands are actual conservation restrictions. I'm sure some of them are deed and fee or whatever. But is there language in those legal documents requiring permanent monumentation to be a certain type? Do we need to adhere to a certain type of signage?
I've looked through them and I don't really remember seeing anything about because I don't think I don't think any of them have like a conservation restriction on them. I think they're all just like they were donated to the Conservation Commission or, given to the Conservation Commission or whatever, and then therefore it's conservation land. And there are some things in the deed, when it was given to the Conservation Commission. Um, but the ones I remember are about like hunting, like no hunting on this property and things like that. I don't remember any that were signage related.
Mhm.
I remember I did a big deep dive and I put all that information on the Google Drive. If you go to like open space information or I forget what I called it, open space documentation, something like that. Um, there's like a folder for each of the properties, and I
Yeah.
have like the deeds in there.
Thank
Mhm.
you, Travis. You're so organized. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
well, that was me of like 2 years ago, or I don't know.
Because that's the only thing that I can think of that would kind of limit us to a specific monumentation location or monumentation language or even monumentation hardware, is if it's in the legal language, whether it's a conservation restriction or CR or like a deed in fee or whatever the gift was.
Mhm.
But if it's not, like you just said,
Yeah. Okay. Well, do we want maybe Mitch, do you think you could make like a mock-up or something for like a design like in whatever format they need you to submit it in to that website for the next meeting, and then we could like review it and see if we want to order them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what do we want? We want conservation area boundary by city of Greenfield.
And a tree, I don't know. I mean, it can look pretty much
Yeah.
like that if
some
you
have
want.
Yeah,
the
I
phone
think,
number.
yeah, I think just keeping it simple.
Yeah, I don't think we want to put a phone number because phone numbers can change, and
Right.
Yeah,
um I would say we just want people to know you're entering conservation land. I think that's like the bare minimum of what we need to get across. So at least people know.
And
Or also
if
when they're leaving it, so they know that they're going on to private property, so,
Mm.
Right.
they don't go there.
Yep. And look, like I assume we're going to be doing diamonds as opposed to circles. And if that's the case, I would say like that example of the timberlands, we could put like the tree maybe sort of in the top corner and keep a lot of the space for the text.
yeah, we would
Instead
need
of
a new tree. Can't find that graphic.
Oh yeah, if you send me a really high res, I could probably
You gotta trace it.
trace it in Illustrator pretty quickly and get it to you. But depends on how attached we are to it. I bet a quick Google of white pine vector graphic.
Yeah,
will
white pine clip art.
Yeah,
I did like a reverse Google image search and nothing came up.
nice.
Yeah.
So naturally,
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you did trace that one and we used it, at least it would match with the old ones then
Mm-hmm.
that are already out there somewhere, whether or not they're on the boundaries. Mitch, do you have a scanner, like a flatbed scanner in the
no.
office? I was gonna say if you like put
Yeah,
that on a
that'd
scanner
be
and
cool.
scan it, send it to. Okay. Well, any other discussion on that before we move on? All right, sounds like we have a plan for next meeting. We'll continue that process. Okay, so next on the agenda, outreach to fill Conservation Commission seat vacancy. And I know we have Elizabeth here, who is interested. I know I'm personally very excited that we have someone interested. Yeah, I don't know, Elizabeth, do you want to just like introduce yourself? And if you have questions for us, we could kind of just chat. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. So I am Elizabeth Garofalo. I am a extension educator at UMass. I'm an integrated pest management specialist with a focus in orchards, tree fruit, and a special interest in cider apple production. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last 8 years or so, with a brief sabbatical where I was working with a non-asset-based nonprofit food hub, working with small to mid-sized farms here in the Northeast to aggregate and distribute produce to larger wholesale markets that they otherwise would have a hard time filling orders for.
Cool.
Sorry, Elizabeth, how did you hear about, thanks for coming, first of all, and for your interest. How did you hear about the commission?
So Mark Maloney, who is a friend of mine here in town, had sent the information along and thought that I might be a good candidate for the commission.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on, so I'm the Conservation Commission's representative on the Community Preservation Committee, and Mark was on that committee too. So we were on that committee together. That's how I know Mark.
So you're the kind of link there.
Well, I don't I who someone reached out to Mark, didn't they? Or someone reached out to FERCog, and that's probably how. Was that Fletcher? Was that you?
I think it was both of us. You did a while ago, and I just did recently.
Okay, yeah.
Well, thanks to both of you. I think it would be great to have somebody with an agricultural background on the commission.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about like our meetings or anything like that?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that, like, as it goes, there will be questions that
Yeah.
come up, but I think it's nothing really comes to mind at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, we meet second and fourth Tuesdays, sorry. 6:30. And there is the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions has like all of these training things on like how to be on the Conservation Commission and how to interpret the Wetlands Protection Act and all that stuff. And if you are a conservation commissioner, the city can like pay for, courses through them and things like that. So that's like a good learning opportunity when you're first starting. I'm assuming you've never been on a conservation commission before.
Correct. So when typically, because I'm not actually on the commission yet, so I don't know the answer to this question is, do you typically send out the items that are on the agenda before the meeting? For example, this particular thing that you guys have just all gone over. Normally that would be out a day, 2, 3 in advance, or like what's the lead time for folks to kind of prepare for?
Yeah, Mitch, I actually don't know how many days in advance. Usually he'll like organize everything on we have a Google like a shared Google Drive. And so like all the files get organized in like a meeting folder, and then Mitch shares it like
I think on Friday usually, doesn't it?
I do it on Friday usually.
Yeah, Friday before
Friday.
And so at some point somebody had mentioned site visits to sort of assess what various again, like what is the standard protocol to establish that visit?
Yeah, I mean, lately Mitch has been doing most of those, like on his own, but I think we've done like doodle polls and things like that and like talked about, what times, and it's hard to get everyone to go, or hard to find times, especially like right now when it gets dark at 4:15. It's hard to do a site visit after work or whatever. So
but Mitch will send out those sort of as, that doesn't necessarily just go up Friday ahead of time. That goes out.
oh yeah.
Could be like the day after a meeting. Oh, there's a project coming up that we want to do a site visit for. How does this time work? And then we can, Google Calendar, yes, no, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have a paid agent and he takes care of a lot of the administrative stuff. But I think if we have a big permit application, I think most of the commissioners try to make an effort to attend a site walk. We don't have a lot of big permit applications. They're relatively infrequent.
Or just when a project gets involved and, it's coming up at multiple meetings and there's sort of escalating things to talk about, then, I think we all try to visit, if we hadn't already, we'll go out, because sometimes you have multiple weeks to work on a project. So
or sometimes we go at different times, like
Yeah,
That's what I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, we just
like
pop
yeah,
in.
like one official site visit, and then I mean, depending on if it's like a residential property or something, probably not just
Yeah,
showing
you
up at
can't,
someone's
yeah,
house.
right.
But
right.
yeah, with the applicant's approval. Let's say. Um, yeah.
And hopefully with some of the renewed, or I should say recent community interest in stewardship of conservation areas, we can get out with the volunteers as well at some point. That'd be great. Which I think, is that on the agenda to talk about the
A,
CPA?
a volunteer thing? Oh yeah, but it
The
wasn't actually on the
yeah.
agenda, but um,
The grant or whatever they were asking for. Not really
yeah,
grant, but
actually,
Oh, yeah, under other business.
is that on the agenda? Maybe I didn't.
The CPA application?
yeah. I
Oh,
think Mitch just sent it out yesterday, I think maybe, or just
Under like
there might be
other
an updated agenda. I didn't have that on. I was looking at the original agenda
Mm.
that Mitch sent. Yeah.
I don't
Anyway,
want to sidetrack us from
getting lost in the
Mhm.
weeds there.
from
Yeah.
any Elizabeth questions. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess, tonight, if we want, we could, I think the best way to do it, if we wanted to send like a letter of recommendation, we can like vote to do that, and then one of us can do that. And then we'll have the authority of the full commission behind behind the letter that way.
And we have a brand new mayor, so when does that kick into effect?
January 2nd, I think.
yeah, she
Okay.
starts in January.
Yeah, so this will go to the current mayor. And yeah, I know I actually got appointed by the previous mayor after the current mayor had been elected, but before she took office. And Mayor Martin, he said, or I heard from his office that he didn't want to make any appointments during that time because it like looked bad that he was like appointing a bunch of people before he left. But then they did appoint me anyway. So I don't know. I mean, I know I've spoken to the mayor, and I actually just saw her um at the Roundabout Books grand opening. I also saw
Right.
Erica there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talked about Conservation Commission, and I told her that we had some people who were interested, and she was like send me their names. And I'm like, I'm trying. I gotta get them to that point. you know, we gotta get them to where they actually want to do it. So it sounds like she's very aware that the Conservation Commission needs someone. So I imagine it would be a fairly quick I mean, as quick as it can be going through the whole appointment process. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and if we send a letter of recommendation or whatever, that it doesn't seem like that's nobody could say that like she was just appointing people willy-nilly. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So
Well, and I didn't hear that from the current mayor. That was the previous mayor's
right.
administration. So
Right.
yeah. Does anyone? I guess I could write a letter if we did want to do it. I'm not sure what the process should be then. If we do a letter, um, Elizabeth, I'm guessing you haven't actually applied yet to the mayor.
So earlier this week, I had sent my resume to, I think it was Mitchell.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sending up to the mayor for all of that, but I don't know anything about like an official application or anything.
Oh,
like that.
okay. Yeah, well, it's just I think on the appointments process it says to email the mayor's office, and like explain why, what commission you want to be on and whatever. But I guess if you sent that to us, and then we had the letter and send it to them. It's just a roundabout way of doing it, but um, that makes it simpler because I was thinking like, oh well, if we have this letter, do we send it to the mayor and then you send your thing to the mayor? You know, this way it's all coming at once, which I guess is nice.
Yeah, I feel like when I started, which was December 2020, and I was talking to Cassie, who was our previous wetlands agent, I emailed her, I was interested, and I joined a couple commission meetings just as a non-voting member. And then I feel like she said, oh, you have to send a letter to the mayor requesting your appointment or requesting for approval of your appointment or something like that. And then Cassie supported that. And then I had to get sworn in and all of that. I feel
Yeah.
like that was the process for me. And I feel
Mhm.
like I'm the youngest in terms of tenure, not age, commissioner on the Conservation Commission. So I don't know. Did anybody have a different experience?
No,
No, that's
I just sent
yeah,
a letter to I just sent an email to the mayor.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I think I was with the first mayor.
Mm,
And it
4G?
was, yeah. And I think, I mean, and as I recall, it was really, I mean, you just had to write like 3 sentences, like, you know, I don't know, at least, I mean, that's what I mean. I didn't have to write anything like really elaborate, just, hey, I'm
yeah.
interested and but-
Yeah, I
Well,
think that's what my email was like too, was just, kind of, this is my interest, this is my background.
because it sounds like all of us have had, sort of had some contact with the Conservation Commission or or the agent at least before we kind of wrote to the mayor, so it was not like a shock or anything. So
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
kind of knew
exactly.
what to, yeah.
Yeah, I think in my case, Cassie maybe contacted the mayor as well and said, yeah, this person's been attending hearings and as a non-voting member, and we support them as a candidate or as a member or something like that.
Mhm.
I guess here's the process. So I guess just to be official, I guess Elizabeth, you should just email the mayor as it says here, and then we can
Yeah.
also send along a letter.
Okay, sounds good.
And if you emailed the mayor, maybe the simplest way to do it would be to email the mayor and copy Mitch on the email, and then Mitch could reply to the thread with the letter of recommendation. But I guess if we're going to have a letter of recommendation, we should make a motion to to write one.
I'll make a motion
All right,
to, oh, go ahead, Erica.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to write a letter of recommendation for Elizabeth Galifaro joining the Conservation Commission to the mayor.
Second that.
Right, the motion was seconded. I guess I'll just add that I can write it and then send it to Mitch, and then Mitch can put it on our official letterhead or whatever, send it along. Any other discussion before we vote? All right. Fletcher,
All right.
Erica,
Aye.
Kristen,
I
and I am also an aye. So you'll have our letter of recommendation. Congratulations. And by the way, the reason we have to do a roll, like technically we have to do a roll call vote in remote meetings. So because we're meeting remotely, that's why they all have to be roll call votes. And we've talked about going to like hybrid meetings where some or most of us would be in person. The city just doesn't quite have the technology in enough rooms to be able to do that yet. So we're hoping to get to that. And then, some people could be remote and some people could be in person. But hopefully we'll get there. Hopefully. We'll see. Just thought I'd let you know. All right. I guess we do have a couple more things on the agenda, so we'll continue on to that. But thanks for coming to the meeting. Feel free to continue to stay, but
This wasn't one of
um,
our really interesting meetings, but
yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because it's like
oh, yeah,
it's the fun non-permitting stuff
yeah, yeah.
other than the one emergency certification.
Mhm.
Okay, so Mitch had sent um a Community Preservation Act application form. Mitch, I think I looked at this earlier and this is one from last year that you sent.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
the dates were weird.
that's what I was given.
Okay.
I don't think that they applied yet, but this is what they want to do.
Because all the dates were
They
talking about the summer of 23
yeah,
that they were applying, and
they did apply last year and they got funding for that project. Um so I wasn't sure. I kind of think maybe they meant they wanted us to look at like an RDA or something for the project
Hmm.
because I think they're to the point where they're going to be doing the actual construction like in the spring.
is this the same one that you saw already, Travis?
If it's the same, the Kimboa's
Yep.
Highland Park Temple Woods Trail renovation.
But
Mitch,
it's not a
that's
second. It's not a second one that she's applied for or something. Or
no, it's a man, but
oh, sorry.
no, it's all right. No. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
Um,
Did they send an email like explaining what they wanted?
I haven't talked to this person at all. It's been through Christy from the Parks Department.
Uh-huh.
She brought this to me, um, kind
Weird.
of explained it as something that hasn't been approved yet. I'm
Huh.
not sure.
I mean, it hasn't been approved for Wetlands Protection Act purposes, but it has been approved for Community Preservation Act funding. So I guess maybe and it is like a recreation department um project. So I guess maybe reach out to Christy again if you could and ask if they're looking to have the project permitted, if that's what they're looking for. I don't know.
Or did they just want a letter of support from us or something? Or-
But I don't know what the support would be for because it's already been approved
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the funding's already been given to them.
So this is the email I got the other day.
Yeah.
So we would love a letter of support on our CPA application for the trail wayfinding project.
Oh, Trail Wave. That's a different project than the
So did maybe Christy brought the wrong sort of info
yeah.
packet over?
Yeah, I think she might have. Because the wayfinding, that is a current year project that has not been approved yet.
So out of curiosity, what is the general summary of that one? If you know, Travis.
I do know. Uh, well, I have access to the Community Preservation Act Google Drive too.
Nice.
2324. So a full application hasn't been submitted yet. But what we do have, so I'm going to share my screen. So this is the pre-application that was approved. Rocky Mountain Park Trail wayfinding signage and kiosks. The trails along Rocky Mountain Ridge are heavily used and connect to a larger Pecumtuck Ridge Trail system. While local users are familiar with the trails, they can be a bit intimidating to those new to or visiting the area due to lack of directional signage. Constructing uniform wayfinding signage and map kiosks that fit into the natural landscape will enhance the user experience and hopefully attract even more hikers to our beautiful trail system. So that's all the information that they've supplied at this point. But this was approved as an eligible recreation project. And I kind of wonder if they want Conservation Commission to sign on because there's the Rocky Mountain Conservation Area there. And I don't know if the signage, if any of it would be in the conservation area too. It could be.
Mhm.
And it sounds like a good project. I mean, some of my initial questions were sort of when it said fit into the natural landscape, that's a positive. Because that would be a big
Mhm.
question I had. But so do you think it letters support or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, is basically what's going to happen now is, and they need the letter of support now because tomorrow is the due date for submitting the full application.
No.
Um, but I mean, they could get a letter of support later, but they'll be submitting that. They either did submit it today or maybe tomorrow. But anyway, so then the Community Preservation Committee will review all the projects, and then there's like a scoring rubric, and one of the ways to score the projects is like level of community support. And so like, you know, letters of recommendation would probably add points for not just from us, but from other people too.
Well,
Makes
I know
sense.
that on that one that we did get that apparently was for last year, it did ask, do you have any community support? And then they listed, because it listed I think the rec department and Nancy Hazard or whatever attached their letters of recommendation. So
Yeah.
it's actually it's like part of the application they really want.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Do we just kind of authorize Mitch to write a general letter, or I don't
Yeah,
know
we
or do
could.
we not have enough info, or?
I mean, that's up to us, I guess.
Right. Sorry, I mean, did anybody else have
Yeah.
really outstanding questions that would cause them not to want to write a letter of support, I guess?
I mean, I think it sounds good, and it's nothing that right now, at least, that we would have to, approve or disapprove. So
Right.
Yeah. And I
so
will say
just
that I I don't think there are really any like streams along, because it's like up on the ridge,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe some isolated wetlands somewhere, but
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm imagining they're just going to be like attaching them to trees or whatever. Anyway,
Yep.
except for the kiosks. I don't know. I think we could write a letter and say, and maybe mention like the Rocky Mountain Conservation Area,
Mm-hmm.
and talk about, how that Pecumtuck Ridge Trail goes through the conservation land. And
Yeah.
we want it to be more, accessible to people to
user
enjoy.
friendly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, unfortunately, it's not accessible from like an ADA standpoint, but
Yeah. But even like from a safety perspective, you could say like, I don't know. I mean, people know how to cross the street, but there's that mountain road crossing or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Could include some
Yeah.
good signage there.
Yeah, that mountain road crossing is awful.
I keep hoping they'll put in like a crosswalk with like the lighted signs,
One of those
that you
yeah.
like hit the button and the light goes on.
It doesn't even
Mhm.
matter. There isn't even any shoulder on that whole road.
Right.
Well, anyway, that's a discussion for another time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
That's just sounds like we could. I don't know. I don't think that's a motion, but I would be.
I think we
supportive.
could. That way it's just
Okay.
official and
Yeah.
that way if anyone asks like, oh, who didn't want this letter of support, we could point to the vote.
Right. I'll make a motion to issue a letter of support for the wayfinding proposal project to the CPA committee, I believe,
Yeah, CPC.
CPC committee.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? Mitch, do you think you could just write like a general letter of support for this? Or do you want me to write that also?
No, I can do that.
Okay.
Could you send me this?
Yeah, I can send this.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion? All right. So we'll vote on the motion to issue a letter of support. Erica,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Fletcher,
Aye.
and I'm also an aye. So they will have our letter of support, and I need to make a note to myself to send this to Mitch. Right. Mitch, was there another like last minute thing, or was that? I think that was the only thing
I think that's it.
that came up. Okay. I guess, oh, the other thing that we forgot to mention about the outreach to fill Conservation Commission seat vacancy is that Emily Boss is also still interested, which would not be competing, Elizabeth, with you joining because Fletcher is unfortunately going to be leaving us soon. So then we'll have another vacancy. Um, so that's good that we still have another person who's interested, because then we might be back up to full strength if Elizabeth and Emily.
And that's a great combo of local conservation plus agricultural knowledge there. So,
Yeah, because Emily works for the Franklin Land Trust, is that right?
mhm.
Yeah. Cool. So it sounds like she is planning on attending our meeting on the 28th. Great. So looking back at our agenda, Mitch, were there any enforcement updates or
No updates.
project monitoring updates? Okay. All right. So all that's left is setting the next meeting date.
Oh, we do need
Tuesday.
to continue.
We have to go back to
Oh, yeah. Thanks
Perfect.
for reminding me. Okay, so Fletcher, before you joined, we moved the public hearing to the end of the meeting, and now it's the end of the meeting. So,
Got it.
because we needed another vote to continue it.
Mm.
So going back to public hearing, notice of intent, bank stabilization at Green River Swimming Area, map 27, lot 18, DEP file number 168356, continued from October 24th, 2023. They have requested another continuance, and it sounds like at the next meeting, they might finally be able to move forward with that. So I'll just make a motion to continue that public hearing to the meeting on November 28th at 6:30 p.m. Is there a second?
Second that.
All right, second by Fletcher. Any other discussion? Okay, so we will vote to continue. Fletcher,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Kristen,
Abstain.
and I am an I. So that meeting will be continued. That public hearing will be continued to our next meeting on November 28th. All right. So as I was saying, the only thing left is to set our next meeting date, Tuesday, November 28th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Anyone have anything else or want to make a motion to adjourn?
I can't believe it. This is the earliest I think we've ever made a motion to adjourn. But I will make a motion to adjourn on 11:14.
I think Erica
Second.
seconded that. All right. All those in favor of adjourning? Aye. All right. I'd say that's all of us. So we are adjourned at 7:42 p.m.